The 5th year of my secret affair with my uncle. I couldn't bear it any longer. I wanted to bring our relationship into the light, but then I overheard a conversation between him and his confidant. "Sir, your engagement to Miss Zhou is next week. Miss N will find out sooner or later." "And what if she does?" Julian's voice was a lazy, indifferent drawl. "Marrying someone else won't stop us from being together." He never intended for me to be anything more than his secret lover, a permanent fixture in the shadows. Wiping away the tears, I left without a word. A week later, my wedding was held on the exact same day as his engagement ceremony. When he saw me in the arms of another man, Julian, the man who was always the epitome of cold self-control, finally broke. My love for Julian was an open secret in the city. What no one knew was that behind closed doors, he was already mine, night after night. By day, he was the ascetic titan of the business world, a name that commanded respect and fear. By night, he was a tempest of raw heat and possession, consuming me in a wildfire of his own making. I once believed he was the love of my life. From the day I turned 18, when my father sent me to this city for my education and entrusted me to Julian's care, I fell for him. It was love at first sight, and I secretly vowed I would marry no one else. Initially, Julian was distant. My father, a self-made man, had forged a brotherhood with 3 other men during his early struggles. Julian was the youngest of the 4, my 4th uncle. He was the most handsome, but also the most aloof. Beyond ensuring I was well provided for, he maintained a strict, professional distance. But I wasn't content with that. Through a series of calculated teases and a dance of simmering attraction, our 2 restless hearts began to beat in the same frantic rhythm. Finally, on a stormy night, soaked to the bone, I threw myself into his arms. "Julian, life is too short. I only want to be with the person I truly love." I expected him to push me away, as he always had. But in the next second, his powerful arms crushed me against him, a desperate, possessive force. "Selena," he murmured, his voice thick with a warning. "You shouldn't have provoked me. But since you have, you're my woman for the rest of your life." With those words, I thought he was as committed as I was to forging a real future together. That's why I never complained about our 5-year secret, the clandestine nature of our love. Today, he shattered that illusion with his own hands. Leaving Julian's office, the tears wouldn't stop. He had never planned to make our relationship public. He was even keeping his engagement to another woman a secret from me. The years of quiet suffering, of enduring misunderstandings and whispers, culminated in a chilling ache in my heart. I picked up my phone and called my father in the capital. "Dad, you were right. I've graduated, and it's time for me to stop lingering here. I want to come home." My voice was steady, betraying none of the storm inside me. "And about the marriage proposal from the Gu family?" "I agree." My father's voice on the other end was overjoyed. "Selena, I'm so glad you've come to your senses. You're my only daughter, and everything I have will be yours. You need a good husband who will cherish you. That Leo Gu grew up with you, and he's been devoted to you for so long. Entrusting you to him puts my mind at ease. Since you've decided, I'll come pick you up tomorrow." Hearing his relief, a wave of guilt washed over me. My stubbornness had caused him so much pain over the years. After hanging up, I quickened my pace. The parking garage was empty, the only sound the click-clack of my heels on the concrete. Just as my fingers closed around the cold metal of the door handle, a powerful arm snaked around my waist from behind. Before I could even gasp, I was pushed into the back seat of my own car. The familiar, intoxicating scent of his cologne filled the small space. I was about to speak, but Julian's mouth silenced mine in a bruising kiss. "You came to see me. Why leave without saying hello?" he murmured against my lips. "Didn't you want to see me?" His cold hand slipped beneath my jacket, his touch setting my skin on fire. "Julian, is this some kind of game to you?" I struggled, my voice cold. "Don't you like it?" His voice was a low, husky growl, his hot breath ghosting over my ear. His long, cool fingers were a torment, expertly kindling the fire he knew so well. "Let me go." In the last moment before I lost myself, I shoved him with all my strength. Julian fell back, and behind his thin-rimmed glasses, his narrow eyes narrowed dangerously. "Selena, what's wrong with you?" I knew that look. It was the prelude to his anger. On any other day, I would have curled into his arms like a kitten, purring and coaxing him back into a good mood. But today, I had no patience left for games. I looked at him, my gaze unwavering. "My father is coming tomorrow." Julian froze. The flush of desire that had colored his eyes moments ago vanished. "What is he coming here for?" Before I could answer, he reached out to stroke my hair. "Is that why you're avoiding me?" I slapped his hand away. "What do you think? Should I wait for him to find us in bed together? Who do you think would end up dead in that scenario, Julian?" His face hardened, turning to ice. "Selena, you don't have to talk to me like this." He straightened his disheveled suit jacket and got out of the car. "It's dark. It's not safe for you to drive alone. I'll have Chen drive you to the villa on the hill." Chen was his personal driver of over a decade, his most trusted man. The villa was the home my father had arranged for me, but I had spent very few nights there. Most of my time was spent tangled in the sheets of Julian's downtown penthouse. I said nothing, slamming the car door shut. I didn't look back as the car pulled away. The next day, my father and I were having lunch at the villa when Julian arrived. To my shock, he wasn't alone. He had a woman with him. "Brother," he said, addressing my father with his usual understated respect. He didn't even spare me a glance as he gently guided the woman forward. "Let me introduce you. This is my fiancée, Sophia Zhou." Sophia greeted my father with a sweet, almost fawning smile, then turned to me. "You must be Selena. You're just as beautiful as they say." My face was a mask of indifference. I looked only at Julian. He was as unreadable as ever, his gaze not wavering even as he felt mine on him. My father's tone was neutral. "Have you eaten? Sit and join us." Sophia was about to decline, but Julian spoke first. "Thank you, brother. We'd be honored." Right in front of me, he gallantly pulled out a chair for her. When the servants brought new place settings, he personally unfolded her napkin and arranged her silverware. He had never, ever done that for me. My heart thrashed in my chest. I knocked over my glass of red wine, and a few drops splattered onto Sophia's dress. As I reached for a napkin, Julian was already leaning down, dabbing at the stain himself. It's all right. Julian will take care of it," Sophia said, giving me a sweet smile. A pair of faint dimples appeared, making me feel dizzy. She called him Julian. In the deepest, most tangled hours of the night, when my voice was raw, I would whisper Julian like a prayer. And he, pressing me into the mattress, would demand it, "Say my name." I thought it was ours. A secret name for a secret love. And now, it was falling so casually from another woman's lips. I looked down, blinking back the tears that stung my eyes. I ate the rest of my meal in silence, each bite tasting like ash. After Julian and Sophia finally left, my father's face grew stern. "Selena, is he the reason you insisted on staying here?" I pressed my lips together. "Dad, I'm done. I'm coming home with you, and I will get engaged to Leo." My father sighed but didn't press further. That afternoon, he had my things packed. I hadn't brought much with me, but the gifts Julian had given me over the years filled 3 large suitcases. After a moment's hesitation, I told the servants to load them into the car. Standing in the now empty room, I felt a sense of dislocation. It looked just as it had 5 years ago when I first arrived. The traces of our 5 years, the proof of our love, had been wiped away by an invisible hand. As I stared out the window, the sound of heels approached from behind. "Selena, still packing? Do you need any help?" It was Sophia, leaning against the doorframe with a smile. She wore an intricate lace dress and a lilac knit cardigan, making her look like a gentle, graceful Iris. She was the complete opposite of me, with my preference for casual, comfortable clothes. So this was the type of woman Julian would choose to marry. "I'm finished," I replied flatly. She walked over and took my arm. If you have a moment, could you come with me to Julian's place? He's asked me to move in, and I'm having such a hard time choosing a room. My heart felt like it was being squeezed in a vice. I wasn't even gone yet, and he was already moving another woman into his home. For him, changing women was probably easier than changing clothes. Selena, are you angry with Julian? Sophia's smile was pure and innocent as she tilted her head. I told him, you've been here for so long, the least we could do is host a farewell dinner for you. He's a man, and so busy, it must have slipped his mind. Don't be too hard on him. From now on, I'll be the one to worry about these things for him. I'll make sure everything is taken care of. Her voice was soft and gentle, like a spring breeze. Not like me, willful and spoiled, sometimes as sharp as a blade. Julian often said we were too similar. Both stubborn and untamable, with a core of pride that would rather break than bend. Two people who are too alike are often fatally attracted to each other, but rarely make it to the end. Perhaps no man could resist the gentle comfort Sophia offered. While I was lost in thought, Sophia sighed softly. To be honest, I was very nervous when they first arranged for me to meet Julian. His reputation precedes him, notoriously unapproachable, no known girlfriends. But the moment I saw him, all my anxiety vanished. He was even more handsome than the rumors, and so polite and gentlemanly, completely different from those arrogant rich kids. Even when it comes to that, he's incredibly considerate of my feelings. Her cheeks flushed slightly. She casually tucked her hair behind her ear, revealing several bright red hickeys on her neck. A testament to their recent passion. She was still speaking, her voice a gentle persuasion. Come for dinner, won't you? As a favor to your future auntie, please? I slowly pulled my arm from her grasp. Julian and I are not related by blood. I called him uncle out of respect for my father. When my father isn't here, we're strangers. In the future, you should just call me by my name. And there's no need for a farewell dinner. Her smile faltered for only a second before she put on an apologetic expression. Oh, I'm so sorry. I overstepped. Julian mentioned you so often, I mistakenly assumed you were very close. My heart skipped a beat. I struggled to remain standing. What does he say about me? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. In truth, it didn't matter what she said. After 5 years in his bed, I knew he wasn't the type to discuss me with another woman. But her next words sent me plummeting into an icy abyss. She blinked, pretending to think. He said that you and he are very much alike. In that instant, the blood in my veins seemed to freeze. She could have said anything else, and I could have told myself it was a lie. But why that? Those were the exact words he had whispered in my ear during countless intimate nights, holding me close. He had given our secret to another woman. Missin'? Are you all right? You look a little pale, Sophia asked, her brow furrowed with concern. I turned away so she couldn't see the tears welling in my eyes. It's late. I have to go. Without waiting for her response, I walked straight downstairs. Night fell, and the city lights began to twinkle. I stood at the villa's entrance, watching car after car drive away. The one I was waiting for never came. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to his pinned contact. After a long hesitation, I sent a message. Julian, I'm gone. Goodbye forever. The message was met with silence, like a stone dropped into a bottomless ocean. I laughed at my own foolishness. As I was about to put my phone away, a news alert popped up on the screen. CEO of Fu Corporation dines sweetly with fiancé, good news on the horizon. The accompanying photo was of Julian and Sophia at my father's table that afternoon. He was looking down, cutting his steak, while she watched him with a loving smile. The warmth and harmony between them were palpable even through the screen. I took a deep breath, about to turn off my phone, when a call came through. It was Julian. Selena, have you had enough of this? His usually cool voice was tinged with annoyance. I let out a small laugh. Mr. Fu, isn't your fiancée right beside you? Aren't you afraid she'll misunderstand if you call me like this? There was a moment of silence, then his voice dropped several degrees lower. My brother just left, and you're already running off to Liugu? You can't stand to be in the same city as me for one more day? My knuckles turned white as I gripped the phone. Julian, what do you take me for? Is it fun for you, stringing me along while you're engaged to another woman? His cold laughter echoed from the other end. Selena, and you're the one who started this. What, you can't handle the game anymore? I closed my eyes, a tear sliding down my temple. You're right. I can't play anymore. So let's part on good terms, Mr. Fu. And let's never contact each other again. I hung up and blocked his number, his social media, everything. Then, I got into the car headed for the airport. As the scenery blurred past the window, a sense of melancholy settled over me. Suddenly, the car screeched to a halt. Miss, there's a convoy of cars blocking our way to the airport, cried Mr. Zhang, my father's trusted driver. He sounded incredulous. In this city, who would dare to block my family's car? The answer was obvious. My heart hammered against my ribs. Julian, dressed in a black trench coat, strode directly to my car and pulled open the door. Selena, get out. His voice was quiet, but it held an undeniable command. I didn't move. My father wasn't here, but this convoy was his, sent to escort me home. For Julian to do this, with my father's men watching, was tantamount to career suicide. Fourth Master, what is the meaning of this? Mr. Zhang asked, his brow furrowed. Julian acted as if he hadn't heard him. His dark eyes were locked on me. Don't make me say it again. I looked up at him. Julian, do you have any idea what you're doing? Are you prepared to face the consequences? In all our years together, I had never spoken to him with such a tone. A flicker of something, pain, uncertainty, crossed his face. I opened the door on the other side and started walking toward the airport terminal. Among my father's sworn brothers, Julian was the only one who had come from nothing. He had clawed his way out of the mud through sheer talent and grit. That made him more ruthless, more decisive than anyone. It also made him unable to accept loss. It was why, despite his high station, he was always so cautious, so low-key. Hiding our relationship was part of that calculation. I thought my reminder would snap him back to reality. But after only a few steps, he caught up, his hand closing tightly around mine. Selena, I have something to tell you. He looked at me, his gaze filled with a hesitation and anxiety I had never seen before. The truth is. Just then, a warm, gentle voice called out from ahead. Selena. It was Leo, dressed in a white suit, holding a massive bouquet of fiery red roses. He walked toward me with a smile. After so many years, he was still as handsome and refined as the first ray of spring sunshine. It took me a moment to find my voice. Leo, what are you doing here? Your uncle asked me to pick you up. I couldn't wait to come. Before I could react, Leo had taken my other hand. His eyes flickered to where Julian was still holding me, then he smiled at Julian. You must be the uncle, right? At that title, Julian's hand trembled. After a long moment, he grunted in acknowledgement and slowly let me go. Leo naturally pulled me behind him, positioning himself as my protector. Thank you for taking care of Selena all these years. By the way, I hear your engagement ceremony is next week? Selena and I will definitely be there to offer our congratulations. Julian remained silent. But I blurted out, I'm not going. The thought of watching him get engaged to another woman was more painful than death. Both men looked at me. Leo was stunned. Julian's eyes held a sliver of hope. I knew I had to make a choice. In front of Julian, I tightened my grip on Leo's hand. Leo, next month has a very auspicious date. I want to marry you on the same day my uncle has his engagement party. Leo was overjoyed. Selena, are you serious? Julian's voice was frigid. Selena, marriage is not a child's game. Don't be ridiculous. I didn't dare look at Julian. I just nodded frantically at Leo. I've made up my mind. I want to marry you, and I can't wait another second. Then, pulling Leo's hand, I walked away without looking back. A week later, my wedding ceremony was held at the most luxurious hotel in the capital. Leo had booked the entire venue and hired a world-renowned wedding planning team to give me an unforgettable day. The wedding of the century was the talk of the town. Looking at my reflection in the mirror, dressed in a flowing white gown, I felt a moment of surrealism. I had always thought I would only ever wear a wedding dress for Julian. I never imagined it would be for another man. "Selena, you're beautiful," Leo whispered, hugging me from behind, his chin resting on my shoulder. "I've waited for this day for so long." I smiled but said nothing. Towards Leo, my feelings were a mixture of guilt and gratitude. He had been my knight since childhood, gentle, attentive, and always the first to protect me. I had once adored him, but as a spoiled child, I grew to find the prospect of a predictable life with him a little boring. Then Julian appeared. He was cold, forbidden, dangerous, and utterly captivating. In the 5 years I was lost in him, I had completely forgotten Leo, hurting him in countless ways. He had waited so long. It was time to give him his due. Just as we were about to head to the banquet hall, a commotion erupted at the door. A familiar figure burst in. "Selena." I froze. Julian? What was he doing here? He was a mess. Gone was the cool, sophisticated man I knew. His hair was disheveled, his suit wrinkled. His usually calm eyes were now blazing with a desperate fury. "Selena, come with me." He lunged forward to grab my hand. Leo intercepted him. "Mr. Fu, today is my wedding to Selena. This is highly inappropriate." Julian didn't even look at Leo. His eyes were locked on me. "Selena, I was wrong. Come with me. I'm begging you, come with me." It was the first time I had ever heard him say beg, the first time I had ever seen him so humbled. But it was too late. A tardy confession is cheaper than grass. "Julian, are you insane?" I asked coldly. "What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be at your own engagement party? Get out before my father loses his temper." The commotion drew the attention of the guests, who began to whisper amongst themselves. Julian, however, seemed oblivious, trying to push past Leo. "Fourth brother. What are you doing? Calm down, fourth." My second and third uncles rushed over, flanking him. At their signal, several bodyguards emerged from the shadows to escort Julian away. But Julian thrashed like a cornered animal, his eyes bloodshot. "No. Selena, don't marry him. Come back with me. Let's go now," he roared, reaching for me again. The burly international bodyguards couldn't seem to restrain him. "So sorry about this, Leo," my second uncle said, offering a placating smile. "Fourth brother had a bit too much to drink. He's just having a hard time letting his niece go." He then whispered something in Julian's ear. The pain in Julian's eyes was suddenly replaced by a wild spark of hope. "You're right, second brother. I'll go find him. I'll go talk to him." "Selena, you wait for me," he shouted as he scrambled to his feet and stumbled away. Watching him go, a strange feeling twisted inside me. "So, Julian, you have a day like this too. You, who thought you had me so perfectly under your control, a gilded canary to be kept in a cage for life. And now, you've lost all composure for me." But it was too late. I took a step back and linked my arm through Leo's. "Leo, let's go. We have more important things to do." Half an hour later, to the strains of the wedding march, I walked down the aisle on Leo's arm. The guests rose, their applause and blessings filling the hall. I maintained a graceful smile, but my eyes scanned the crowd. Only when I was certain that familiar figure was absent did I feel a sense of relief, tinged with a strange disappointment. "Selena, will you marry me?" Leo looked at me, his eyes filled with love and hope. I looked back at him, a warmth spreading through my chest. This man had waited for me, given me so much. It was time to answer him. "I do," I said softly, the 3 words feeling as if they took all my strength. Leo's face broke into a radiant smile. He squeezed my hand, as if trying to merge me with himself. Just as we were about to exchange rings, the doors to the banquet hall were thrown open with violent force. a familiar, battered figure stumbled in. It was Julian. His face was bruised, and his arms bore the raw, bloody marks of ropes. He looked as if he had just escaped from captivity. When he saw me, his eyes lit up like a night sky ignited by fireworks. "Selina," he bellowed, rushing toward me. He was immediately intercepted by my other uncles. "Fourth brother, that's enough. This is your niece's wedding. Stop this foolishness," my second uncle scolded. But Julian was like a man possessed, fighting their restraints. His eyes were fixed on me, as if I were his only salvation. "Selina, you can't marry him. The one you love is me. You can only marry me," he screamed, heedless of the shocked stares and murmurs around him. A sharp pain lanced through my heart. The cool, arrogant, unshakable Julian had been reduced to this, for me. But what did it matter? There was no going back for either of us. From the front row, my father's voice cut through the chaos, cold and absolute. "Fourth brother, I'm giving you a chance to go downstairs and sober up. Or has my word ceased to matter to you?" The hall fell silent. Under the weight of 100 pairs of eyes, Julian's face went pale, and he slowly sank to his knees. "Brother, it's all my fault," he choked out. "Please, don't let Selina marry someone else. I'll give anything, I'm begging you." Before he could finish, my father's voice boomed with fury. "What do you have to give? Julian, everything you have, I gave to you. What right do you have to use it as a bargaining chip with me now?" Julian looked as if he'd been struck by lightning. He knelt there, staring at my father, unable to form a single word of rebuttal. "Enough. Today is Selina's happy day. I don't have time to settle accounts with you," my father declared. "If you still have any respect for me as your brother, you will have a celebratory drink and then get yourself back to your own city. And from this day forward, you are never to set foot here again." The oppressive force of his words made everyone in the room shudder. But Julian, at the center of the storm, though on his knees, kept his back ramrod straight. "Brother, I only want to ask Selina one question. When I have my answer, I will leave." His voice was raw. He turned to me. "Selina, do you truly love this man?" His alluring, narrow eyes were now shot with blood and glistening with unshed tears. He looked like a lost puppy, humbly begging its owner for one last shred of mercy. I took a deep, steadying breath. Then, I tightened my hold on Leo's arm and faced Julian, faced all the guests. "Yes. I love Leo," I said clearly. "I apologize to everyone for this drama. Now, let us continue with the wedding." Without another glance at Julian, I stood on my toes and kissed Leo. As he responded with a fervent passion and the guests erupted in applause, I slowly closed my eyes. A single tear escaped and was gently wiped away by Leo. When I opened my eyes again, Julian was gone. The wedding proceeded as if nothing had happened. After that day, my life with Leo was blissful. We honeymooned overseas, revisited the parks and restaurants of our childhood, and went back to our old school to see our teachers. It was only then that I realized how many of my most important memories were intertwined with him. There was an unspoken understanding between us, a comfortable intimacy that had never existed with Julian. With Julian, it was always a battle, a struggle for control. With Leo, it was like being held by a gentle ocean, unconditionally accepted. It had been a long time since I felt so nourished by a relationship. Julian seemed to have vanished from my life. There was no contact, no news. At the annual company gala, my father stood flanked only by my second and third uncles. The report from Julian's branch was delivered by a junior manager I didn't recognize. A seed of unease began to sprout in my heart. After the banquet, I pulled the manager aside and asked why Julian hadn't come. "Mr. Fu is not well," he said politely. "He's taking time off to recuperate and is temporarily not involved in the group's affairs." My heart clenched. "What's wrong with him?" "My apologies, but that is Mr. Fu's private information." He bowed and quickly walked away. I took 2 steps to follow him before my father's voice stopped me. "Selina, where are you going?" I turned to see him watching me, his calm, deep-set eyes holding a profound meaning. You knew, didn't you? I asked softly. All the unspeakable love and hate, the dangerous relationship hidden in the shadows. He had known all along. Do you have a moment? Walk with me, he sighed, heading toward the garden. I followed without hesitation. You are my only treasure, and with your mother gone so early, I was always undecided about your marriage, he began, watching the koi in the pond. Leo and Julian were both under my consideration. I stopped, stunned into silence. They are of a similar age, he continued. Leo is gentle and polite, academically brilliant, and would always consider you first in life. Compared to him, Julian came from hardship. He's deep, calculating, and keeps his cards close to his chest. He was brilliant at his job. I intended to groom him as my successor. I gave him time to let his feelings for you settle, to see what he would do. But in the end, he didn't have the courage to tell me the truth. Sophia. I was the one who introduced them, he said. I wanted to force his hand. I never expected him to retreat. Tears blurred my vision. Everything had been within my father's control. He had seen our relationship and had chosen to remain silent, testing Julian in his own way. And Julian had failed. He had chosen Sophia, chosen reality, and given me up. Selena, are you happy now? My father asked, his gaze soft. I paused, then nodded with a genuine smile. I'm happy. Leo is very good to me. Good, he said, satisfied. Then I can rest easy. We walked in silence for a while before he spoke again. Julian is a good kid, but he carries too much on his shoulders. Too many burdens, too many fears. Your relationship was too complicated, too heavy. Perhaps this is the best outcome for everyone. I knew my father was right. Loving Julian was the most reckless 5 years of my life. But every wandering ship needs a harbor, and Julian was a ship himself, destined never to be a safe port for anyone. And I was truly happy now. I understand, Dad, I said quietly. I will cherish my life with Leo. He patted my shoulder. Good girl. I believe you. I hesitated, then asked, and Julian's health? My father sighed. When he learned you were truly happy, it seems he couldn't accept it. He took his sports car out late one night and went off a bridge. They saved his life, but his legs were crushed. He'll spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. My breath caught in my throat. The Julian in my memory was forever proud and indomitable. I couldn't imagine him crippled. He wants you to remember him as he was, my father continued. He told me himself that he will never see you again for the rest of his life. The greatest kindness you can show him now is to forget him and start your new life. To refuse to be seen because he was no longer perfect. It was a choice so quintessentially Julian. If I were in his shoes, I might have made the same decision. During his lowest point, Sophia was the one who stayed by his side. Perhaps we'll hear news of their wedding soon enough. I looked down, silent. We returned to the banquet hall. Leo was chatting with friends and greeted us with a warm smile. Leo, let's go home, I said, taking his arm. Okay, he said gently. Let's go home. In the car, I leaned my head on his shoulder and closed my eyes, a sense of peace and contentment washing over me. I had found my happiness. Julian would become a part of my past, a memory. Time would fade the sharp edges, and I would face each new day with Leo by my side. As for Julian, I sincerely hoped he would find his own happiness, even though it would have nothing to do with me. Outside the window, the city lights blurred into a gentle glow as our car drove into the night, carrying us toward our new beginning.